nice humans. I'm here with a little video to show you how I made my little journal for Junk Journal July for 2023. I really enjoyed working in a passport-sized journal that I made for Junk Journal January, and I thought I would do the same for July. So this is how I did it. I have this really lovely wallpaper. It's like vintage wallpaper that was a gift from a friend, and it's so pretty. I really love the pink and the yellow combination and the different shapes of the flowers and things. So I decided to try and use that as a cover, which I haven't done before. I usually use a cardstock for the cover, so that will be an interesting experiment. And now I'm grabbing some various bits and pieces of paper. You saw there I just had a pink piece that's actually like handmade recycled paper. I've got some various pages that I've taken out of old notebooks, some vintage paper here, and I'm trying to mix up the different sort of line sizes and grids and things like that, just to make it a bit what's the word I'm looking for, varied, I guess, and different. I've got a few envelopes that I'd like to use as well. I love putting envelopes into journals like this, and this one's so pretty. Look at it, it's got like a little window in it. It'll be fun to try and put something in there that looks cute through the little dome. I've got these papers here. This is a letter writing pad, and it's got white and purple violets in it. I bought that when we were in Japan recently. This is some other paper that's also from Japan, and the yellow on the back is quite bright, so I'm going to just use one side of it, have one side of it visible, and I'll show you that in a sec. But yeah, this is the sort of array that I'm starting with. I always like to pull a few papers together before I begin, and then once I'm in the process of putting the pages together, I'll often grab other bits and pieces or sub some out or whatever. I'm just reminding myself of the size, so I'm just measuring it, just the same journal from January, just so I don't accidentally get it wrong. I never remember things like dimensions, even if it's a size that I use all the time, like the Junk Journal regular size and passport size. I never remember them. And with that in mind, I've decided I'm just going to put some little markers on my guillotine to help me get things to the right size without having to constantly check my measurements. I can just line it up with the edge of this tape, and then I will know that it is the right size. I am making sure to put a little arrow on there to the edge that I want to line the paper up with, obviously, because the washi tape also has a width of its own, and if I can't remember to line it up with, like whether I need to line it up with the right side or the left side, that will obviously make a substantial difference to the size of the paper that I end up with. So I put a little arrow on there to be like, if it's lined up with this edge, that's the right length for that particular side of the paper. So yeah, I'm writing on that with just some, like a Sharpie, so that I can get started. So here we are. I'm cutting the cover first, and I'm really tickled by this idea of using the wallpaper. If it turns out to not be quite strong enough, I've decided I've got some craft coloured paper as my sort of first and second page of the journal, and I'll just glue them to each other, and that will reinforce it. So if I find that it's not enough, that's okay. So yeah, I'm trimming the pages down. They're not all going to be uniformly sized. I just put those measurements on there so that they're not too big in any direction. So it's like the maximum width and the maximum height, but some of them will be smaller, and that's often dictated by the size of the individual piece of paper that I'm trying to use. And I quite like having pages that are of differing widths and things like that, so that you get that kind of layered look inside the journal. So it's a thing I enjoy. So I've just got this envelope here now, and I want to create a nice crease in it so that I can bind it into the journal. But because it's made of reasonably thick paper, and obviously it's folded because it's an envelope. It's a bit tricky to fold, so I used my scoring board to make sure that I could fold it neatly, and I'm just sealing the envelope now, and I want to make it so that it's one side of it will open at the top and the other side of it will open at the side, and I'm just using my scissors to kind of roughly tear it open, and so that will create a little pocket in each of the sort of sections that it appears. So hopefully that will become clearer when you see it. I'm a little bit rambly today, although I feel like I say that in almost every video. Maybe I'm just a rambly person. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So these are some of my funny shaped pages, and you can see some of them are like substantially shorter than they should be on one side. So what I do with these is sometimes I just leave them, but sometimes I'll put a little pocket or something on them, or even just sew an additional piece of paper or glue an additional piece of paper to them to make them wider and give a bit of a patchwork effect. I really love that too. This one I'm turning into a pocket. I'm going to put a pocket on one of these ones as well. And this is just the process of me getting little scraps of paper that I like out of my little set of mini drawers on my desk where I stash these things away, and just kind of pairing them up with some of these pages to get a feel for how I might like to add to them, basically. And this is a process of just playing, seeing what feels fun. I'm often looking to create contrast. You can see here with the vellum and then with the vintage book page, there's a contrast of colour, as well as like the thickness of the paper and, you know, the detail and all that kind of thing, and that can be really fun. I'm also looking to give some of my favourite little scraps a bit of a second chance at life as well, like this one with the little squirrel on it here on the left. I just think that's so cute, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I'm going to turn it into a little pocket in here so it can, you know, have its little moment. So now that I've paired them all up with the pages that they need to be added onto, I've taken them over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to very messily sew various types of pocket to connect them together. Now, hopefully this is not something that's going to stress you out, but I do lots of messy stitching and stitch backwards and forwards and do like uneven wonky lines, and I switch between zigzag and straight stitch. This is not because I don't know how to sew. I do know how to use a sewing machine and I can sew a straight line, but I really like the messy look in my journals. I like it to look like it's been sort of haphazardly stitched together. I love the texture that adds and just the general vibe. So that is intentional. So yeah, don't worry. Yeah, so some of the pockets I'll stitch down both of the sides and along the bottom. Some of them I'll just have one side and the bottom, and it's more like a tuck spot. Like I vary it and mix it up as I go along. So I've just done 3 stitches through the spine of the journal now that it's assembled, and I'm tying it in a triple knot here at the spine. It is a really simple process, so you don't need to worry about having missed anything by me not showing you the actual stitching. It was a bit of a mix-up at my end. I was holding it like in front of my face so I could see where the stitching was going, but that meant that it wasn't actually underneath the camera. And I mean, it's been a while since I've made a video, so I'm not in the practice of like remembering to keep things in frame. So I need to make more videos so that I can remember how to actually do it properly. Anyway, this is how the pages ended up being arranged. You can see that there's bigger pages, littler pages. Some are really thick, some are thin, some have pockets, some are just really plain and simple. I haven't put many really busy prints in this as full pages because I just felt like working in something a little plainer this time. I don't know why, it just felt like what I needed to do, so it's what I'm doing. Sometimes I will put in pieces of like wrapping paper with like more busy prints, or, you know, things like that. But this time it felt right to just kind of keep it a little bit plainer. So yeah, that's the little journal that I'm working with, and I'm really looking forward to Junk Journal July. I'll put some links in the description so you can find Meg, who runs it, and the various information, and you'll be able to join in too if you are that way inclined. And yeah, stand by for some more junk journaling and other journal related content soon. Thank you again for watching. Bye.